Hi everybody, this is Noob Mister. This is the Game Time podcast where we talk about stuff but nobody listens. I got my buddy here called Mikeset. He my friend.
Indeed. And again, we talk regardless.
Yay. Come on, voice.
We were doing that voice just before we started, so I thought, do the intro like that. So here we are, yet another podcast. Well, stuff. Let's just get on with this because I don't know where to start. I'm always terrible with these intros, so you got anything to talk about, buddy? Because you're usually the one who writes stuff down and then goes, "Oh, I want to talk about this," and I'm just like, "Yeah, I don't know what to talk about because I never write stuff down."
The only thing I've got written down is that I wanted to talk about how I've noticed that there's been a lot of kids shows lately that have dinosaurs involved in some way. The three I noticed, the second one I'm not sure is the name, but I just remember hearing it being mentioned. Is Dinosaur Train and Dynamite. Again, don't know if that is the name of the show. I just remember that quote being used. And Dino Trucks, which I was the most fascinated with.
Yes, because you were sending me all those images, and
Again, they were pretty well created.
yeah, I like
Again,
the sort of chameleon-based one that's like series
yeah, all
of
his little spikes are different types of screw heads, and his tongue is a measuring tape.
very, very ingenious, I have to admit.
And have you noticed that their eye pupils are actually, I believe they're called lugnut
Yeah,
holes,
I just
based
noticed
off of the
that.
hexagon, or is it octagon? I can't remember the difference.
This sign is an octagon!
Yeah, I knew that was coming. But yeah,
Of
I've noticed
course
that
it
all
was.
the characters' eyes are like that.
Hmm.
It's like Bob the Builder, but instead of just humanizing the characters by, well, giving them life and whatnot, making them living machines, they made dinosaurs living machines that are also machines of construction.
Which is kind of cool when you think about it. At least that's
And it was
fairly original.
Yeah, and I really like how they use some of these different dinosaurs we're quite familiar with and turn them into tools. But I also laugh at how some are actual literal tools, like a wrench with legs, a spanner, and even I forgot what they're called, but they're basically like a very thick metal that is meant to fit in the hole of some sort of lug nut or whatnot, and it usually has a curve which you grab onto and you use as like a turn wheel.
An Allen key?
I believe that's what it's called.
Was it like
Maybe.
a little metal bar with a sort of a
I'm sorry. The
curved-
last time I hanged out with my dad when he used to do his
hung out
thing in
with
the
your
shed,
dad, not hanged out.
hung out. Okay, sorry.
Learn how
was
to English.
mate. Look who you're talking to. Someone who didn't even graduate from a special school. Not only did I get moved to a special school when I was diagnosed, but my goodness, I didn't even make it through. I got pulled out by my parents due to being frequently bullied and even hospitalized twice.
Yeesh.
Last one was with a cylinder brick to the head.
I don't remember you telling me about that one. That's...
I thought I did. Have I not?
You might have done, but I certainly don't remember the whole thing with taking a cylinder brick to the head.
Yeah, didn't end well. And it especially spelled more trouble in the future because, oh, this is also why it was the final straw because my dad showed up on the case too and witnessed it. And a certain someone who tossed said cylinder brick blames me and my dad, especially me because my dad is, well, the police officer who was the first responder on the scene. So, yeah, my dad and my mom said that's enough. It's not working out and all that. And, well, I even sometimes I ponder the question and ask mom, dad, was it really a good idea? And mom, dad's immediately answer, it was a good idea at the time, definitely.
I mean, I'm just still trying to work out somebody's logic. They throw a brick at you, And then they
He
try and
was. It
blame
wasn't.
you for the fact that they threw the brick. It
Who
just
needs
doesn't
to
make
learn
any
how to
sense.
English now?
We both need to.
But all I remember is that he climbed up on top of a shed, a tool shed, a very crudely made one. For example, the veranda blew away a lot during storms, so they propped them down with cement cylinder bricks.
I'm
And
just feeling that now. Even though
I'm
I
not
was
going to
not the
name
one.
drop him. I know his first to last name. I can tell you it later, but he climbed on top of it with ease because he's probably pretty much one of the biggest and tallest in the school. And he is one of those types that is hyperactive, can't sit still, can't stop from being silly. He's always jumping about. I don't remember what set him off, but I was in range at the time, and one of the random Sentinel blocks. I don't even remember if he was aiming for me or if it was intended. And all this I'm telling you is based on what others have told me because, well, all I remember is him looking away, thinking, is everyone else seeing that? Then I suddenly wake up in the hospital.
Wow, so you literally black out. You don't remember anything else after that.
I was lucky my skull, I didn't get any actual fractures.
Yeesh. You've got one tough skull there, mate.
I wonder if it's why I'm even more autistic these days. Sorry. But anyway, to the matter of hand of why we even mentioned why what we were even talking about in the first place, I really love how they've made these dinosaur characters. Well, take this for example. I forget what they're fucking called, so I'm gonna go resort to the Land Before Time naming version. The three horn. What is that?
Triceratops.
Triceratops. I like how they've made the Triceratops basically the bulldozer variation. Look at how they've designed it.
I know.
Those
I've still got
little
the
things
picture
on the
here.
side of his crown actually come down when he's actually using them. I like how they try to make these guys as practical as possible. And when there was even fight scenes, at least the fight scene I saw, again, I've only seen one episode. It just happened to be on my TV. And there was a fight scene on a bridge that they just built. I forget what they're called. I think they're called Destructors or something, the bad guys that they're up against.
Wouldn't surprise
There was
me.
actually a pretty there was actually a pretty awesome fight scene between the two gangs, and they were utilizing all their tools in the fight and whatnot. Like for example, when one almost got shoved off of the bridge, and the one was coming in for a battering ram to launch him off of the bridge. After he got launched, the long neck, which pretty much is the crane here, extended out her tongue to grab him, swing him around, and he came back to ram back the rammer.
Ram the Rammer.
Yep.
That sounds like a really bad name for a goat. Ram the Rammer. Oh,
I'm pretty sure there is one.
I can
But
imagine
yeah,
what,
using
what you do
momentum.
for a living.
But yeah, use again. Try look it up. I suppose it's new. It seems, and it's already got merchandise, plenty of toys, and I can see this being a good thing. I mean,
The toy that you linked there for the spanner kind of character does look a little bit basic, but the actual shots from characters in the show, I like the fact that they are really, really detailed. You know, they
Yes.
easily could have just gone with like very, very simple designs, but there is a hell of a lot of detail on these things. And
yeah,
I
that's
like
another
that.
thing I was really amazed about. Just by looking at, for example, the Triceratops guy, that's the pretty much the bulldozer. Just looking at him for ages and just digesting all the detail here.
Hmm.
Imagine how a kid sees it. They immediately think awesome.
Yeah,
And
so all I will say,
and,
whoever designed these characters, well done. Because if you've
Like, for
managed to
example,
impress
Thomas the
me with it, then you've done a very good job there.
So, for example, Thomas the Tank Engine, just like really fueled all of those kids' fascinations with engines and tracks and engine conductor track and all that. I mean, all those wooden trains, for example, and the train things that people make.
Hmm.
I mean, when I was back on the farm, I did have my own simple train set. You know, the very basic wooden ones on the smooth curved.
Yeah, I think I know which
tracks.
ones you're talking about, because I used to have something like that when I was younger as well.
My favorite thing to do was put the negative sides of
Oh,
the
I used to
magnets.
do
And
that
just
as well. I
push
think
them.
I know which types of trains you're talking about.
Yeah, they were just a simple round magnet.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
what was
takes me
what was the
back
name of
thinking
the
about
what
that.
was the name of the company that made that?
I have no
I
idea.
can't
I
remember. I know which ones you're talking about though. I don't know if they were made by the same company, but I had a very similar thing when I was younger, and yeah, I used to do that as well. I used to put the two negative or positive magnets together and I just used to push them against each other because it was just like these things move on their own. Because
All
simple
right, I
minds.
found some images. I'm gonna see if I can find the creator. But my goodness, just looking at these, it takes me back. Here, I'm gonna send it to you right now. I the last I remember getting this was a very expensive one that was more a little bit more detailed. It was blue,
Uh,
but again, it was.
ring
I
ring.
thought you muted your phone.
That's my mainline phone. Well,
Okay,
they can
better answer
piss
that.
off. I'm not interested. Actually, hold on.
Oh, all right.
Wasn't even a number I recognised, so it was probably like an Indian call centre. Just somebody phoning up and going, "Hello, can I sell you this product? You do not want product, but I am going to try and sell it to you anyway. And I am sorry if I am offending anybody."
The problem is you can't even really offend that much with that type of thing because it's 100% true most of the time.
The
Ugh.
weirdest one I've ever gotten was when somebody phoned up to me and said, "Hello, I am from your internet service provider," and I was just like, "No, you're not. All of my internet service providers' call centers are in the UK." And I also realised shortly afterwards they didn't actually say which internet service provider they were from. So it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely someone trying to steal my details.
God, they do not help the stereotype with Indian
No.
people. It's
Because
a
here's the
shame.
thing, a lot of
It is
people
a
are.
real shame that it's this bad, that it's a true stereotype that a bad telemarketer that's trying to take trick you is always has that accent. It's just terrible.
And here's the thing, most people will say, "Oh, well, that's a really offensive stereotype." Guys, stereotypes have to originate from somewhere, right? That's a prime example. The fact that anybody from any call center that you get, they're always Indian. But then again, that's because most companies tend to outsource all their call centers to India because it's cheaper.
Speaking of Indian, um,
Are we going to
the
start talking
only
about food
good
now?
yeah, no. I was about to talk about a YouTuber.
Ah,
Because we've seen Soviet Wumble and all that. His friend Cyanide. Because when I was about to say, I bet half of people that have had to put up with this shit, as much as they don't want to at times, when they hear an Indian accent, they're just instantly reminded of those bad telemarketers. But they need to hear a character that they like that has said accent, and this isn't particularly a character, but a person. I just think of Cyanide and his comedic stuff, and then I'm like, okay, now I won't just think. I'll either think about a telemarketer or I'll think about this
I
funny
think
ass clown.
Cyanide's actually Pakistani, isn't he?
Well, I don't know the specifics, but I do remember that there was. I think it was when they were playing "We Were Here" that he was pretending to be a telemarketer because of his accent having similarities to a
I
traditional
forgot
Indian
that
accent.
one. It's been a
Hello,
while.
this is Tiffany. How may I help you? Because of how the way the talk system was working in that game, as Soviet Wumble pointed out, and I can't even do anything about it because he's jamming the damn radio. Because if he pushes the button to talk, he's not hearing anything because he's streaming through the music, the whole music. And then he promotes his Twitch channel. I am sorry, we are currently experiencing higher traffic than usual. Please visit.
Please visit my Twitch channel.
Really? He's promoting himself over the fucking hold music. And again, whenever I listen to Soviet Wumble, I am also reminded of you because, again, your accent and the way you shout when you're genuinely pissed is similar to him to me,
That's
and I
because
love
me
it.
and Soviet Womble probably most likely grew up in the south of England, and our accents are very, very different down here to sort of to sort of Londoner type accent, except this is more North Yorkshire accent, actually, lad.
Uh,
Because this is probably a type of accent that most people think with, like, anyone that ain't from London. It's sort of North Yorkshire accent. As opposed to sort of the Queen's English type of talking, oh, mother, oh, pip pip pot pot ho ho tip tip and all that. I can't even do
Please say Mr.
stereotypical
Smithers.
English stuff.
Please say Mr. Smithers for me right now.
Mr. Smithers. He's easily pleased.
I just knocked my my puffer shield doing that.
Yeah, well, I don't use a standing mic anymore. Not after the problems I was having with the fact that my microphone was picking up everything from my computer.
Yeah, sorry about that. What are you doing right now, actually? What are
I'm
you
just using my headset.
Oh, that's good.
Although even then, I'm starting to get the impression that my headset's actually picking up everything from my headphones now. I'm having that
And I just
problem again.
realized I was supposed to be multitasking here. I was supposed to look up what the name of the company that made pardon me, that made them.
Well, if you found the
temperature.
image, then there's probably going to be a link to somewhere that's like, this is the company that makes it. And I'm also fairly certain that is the same stuff I was using. Because I recognised
far,
the little wooden trees.
Yeah, and so far all I found is I remember how I couldn't play with them for a while because mom and dad had to teach me out of chewing on the trains because there would my bite marks actually show up, and that's actually why I chewed on them more because like, oh, I actually leave a mark.
I'm going to keep doing this thing that you're not telling me to. You're telling me not to word English word brain. Get in gear, please.
Uh,
I blame the fact that I woke up at like probably 4 o'clock this morning because Guy upstairs decided he wanted to have a shouting match and then go storming out into the hallway. And I also kind of had a sort of a mini panic attack last night, so I had to spend like half an hour reading just to try and sort of calm myself down and just get myself to the point where I could go to sleep. So, yeah. So, anybody out there, I know your pain when you suffer from a panic attack because I've had them before and they are not pleasant. Your mind just goes a million miles an hour and you just can't stop thinking about worst case scenarios and all that stuff. And when I get to that point, I'm just like, okay, I'll just pick up the book that I've got next to me.
You've definitely had plenty
read
of those
read
with
a
your
chapter.
friendly foxy stuff.
Huh? Sorry?
And you've definitely had plenty of those kinds of moments when we talked about the whole friendly foxy thing. And I know that. That's why I've been trying my best to try and find a way to tell you this up front without you panicking and try to keep you on track, just so you can at least try this and see if it helps.
Well, generally speaking, I think a lot of people are probably either growing kind of numb to the whole thing or they're just not interested or they just don't care anymore because given the fact that upload only got how many views? Just under 3,500. But then again, the video I did when I said I was cancelling it only got 17,000, and the last Friendly Foxy video, or very massive air quotes Friendly Foxy video, now has over 23,000. I don't know, it's a bit difficult to sort of gauge what's going on with this series anymore. And as I said, I also need to spend less time doing commissions for other people and spend more time doing my own work. Because that's the problem. Because $150 for 3 minutes, considering the amount of time I spend on this shit, not a great amount of money when you think about it, especially with current exchange rates. So, yeah. I honestly think it's better off that I move to doing sort of like very small commissions that I can do very quickly that get me a decent sum coming in, and I can still work on everything else. So,
also, the
yeah.
link I just left, I don't know where it is. You let me know if you find it here, but I think the brand name would be here. Though I'm not sure if this is the exact same. It looks a little different.
It's definitely not
Well,
that
regardless, you know
top
what I'm
one.
talking about.
I know, yeah, I know what it is you're talking about. I don't think it's that specific.
Yeah, the trains
But
look a little different.
yeah, I mean that first one you linked was definitely more in line with what I remember. I mean, most people who probably listen to this going, "What the hell are they on about?" Wooden trains with magnets with rounded tracks? What on earth are you talking about? But yeah, that's kind of how things are. Um, while I'm just trying to think of something else to sort of discuss. Yes, there was one thing I was thinking of. I
Yeah,
really
ahead?
need to take more advantage of my network stuff to try and land some more multiplayer games so that me and you can do stuff.
Yeah, but remember, I seem to just main 3 or 4 games. I remember when I couldn't stop myself from jumping between lots of other different games, but now I just want to be grounded in the few I just frequent.
Nah, I'm more the kind who wants to sort of. I want to explore as much as possible. Because there's always something interesting out there that you didn't know about. But there is one game that I'm hoping that me, you, and the rest of the D&D group can play, which is Sentinels of the Multiverse. I really want us to play that because I think it would make for a good video.
Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Yes,
Hold on.
it's basically a superhero card game. You can get it on Steam, and there's also a free demo as well, so you can try it
Oh,
out.
it's a card game.
Yeah, it's basically a digital version of an already pre-existing card game.
Oh boy.
You don't like card games, do you?
Nope.
Ah, well, I'll have to change that then.
I was bored with card games, and I was a little bit indifferent towards card games, but when a certain card games that had a bunch of Blizzard stuff showed up, I then grew to hate them because the videos were everywhere.
Yeah, well, this one's a bit different because it's more like you're trying to beat like a boss or something, and these bosses can get very, very tricky. Like they can pull out so much nasty stuff against you. You really do have to think. It's kind of almost like a raid boss in a way. Ooh, that would. I know. Technically, Blizzard did that with one of the World of Warcraft things. There was like a module where you could actually do raid groups, but that would be a really, really interesting card game idea. Like you're going through a dungeon and you're fighting bosses or mobs, and I'm fairly certain there's already a card game like that. So if anybody knows of something like that, then feel free to, let me know about it because I would really love to find a card game like that.
I can't remember what game it was. I'm not sure if this is the same thing, but you just reminded me of this old game, this like age-old game, like in the early days of a computer.
Mhm.
It was basically a frame-by-frame slideshow. Like there was no 3D elements, and it changed later down the line. I don't know what it was called, but you pretty much explore a dungeon. You have party members, and there is these images that represent the maze of where you're facing. You basically press forward, left, right, and when you come across an enemy, you just simply sit there, and your characters automatically attack and whatnot based on their stats and whatnot. Do certain things, and you basically see their healths go up and down.
That does remind me of something. Hold
And
on.
as funny as
Where?
it seems from a perspective, it's just simply the indicator of it. But if you see a puddle of water, it means your characters are pretty much swimming and they will drown if you don't get them out very quickly. And here's another thing: you can basically move as fast as you want by just tapping forward. But keep in mind, if you attempt to move forward and there's a wall, your party members take damage because it counts as them technically blindly running into a wall. I
Really?
remember when, yes, I remember when my brother went to go to dinner. I snuck onto his computer and kept mashing forward, and I killed his entire team. All I heard was no, 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 and then game over. And when he came back, he punched me in the gut.
That doesn't sound very nice.
Wasn't that hard, but it was enough, and I deserved it. Again, we were young.
Where was it? There was a game on here that I must have
All I
taken it off
remember
my.
is that the merchant theme was.
I can't remember what the name of the game was. I know Soviet Womble was playing it at one point, or somebody I know was playing it at one. It might have been would have been Potatoes actually. Hold on. I need to go and look this up now because otherwise this is just gonna bug
Same.
me until I can remember what it was. We're probably thinking of two completely different games here. Wooden potatoes. Right, so what was the name of that game? He has probably made a playlist of that. Created playlists. No, current events. This is all Guild Wars 2 related stuff because I know he played this game. No.
This is?
Oh, Legend of Grimrock. That was the one I was thinking of. Again, probably not the one that you're thinking of, but that was the one I was thinking. That was the one that I was thinking of when you were mentioning that. I mean, Legend of Grimrock is probably a bit newer than just sort of standard still images, unless you're thinking of the Ultima series.
Here we go. I'm not sure if this is the one. Again, this is me trying to remember something since I was like 3 or something. It looked a lot like this.
Oh, I had a sneaky suspicion that's definitely not Ultima though.
I'm gonna keep looking though.
Are there any tags? You've obviously found that screenshot on Google. Are there any tags to it? Does it link to somewhere? Go to the actual website that image came from, and it'll probably give you a bit more info.
No, it's just a top 10 dungeon things, and every other one that I've scrolled past looks entirely different.
Well,
Oh
maybe there's
my!
actually a name link to that.
And check this out.
Eh?
And this century trying to replicate that same game. Oh boy, that image is taking a while to send. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was about to say there was a bit of a slight delay in the. Woohoo! Fallen Dungeons. Ooh, that looks like fun. Ooh, Fallen Dungeons. Can I get that on Steam? Is it even out on Steam yet? I
Yeah,
must go and.
Dungeons on Steam.
Fallen Dungeons. Dungeons. It's not out until September. Oh, but that looks good. That looks really good, actually. Wow. Ooh, good find. I'm adding that to my wish list. Vita Software. I wonder what else they've made. Ooh, Curiouser and Curiouser. No, this is apparently the only game they've made. Or they're going to be making. Ooh, I am certainly going to be looking forward to that one.
Yay!
A complete
I did something.
You did something. You found a game that I am really curious in now. So, Vita Software, if you happen to be, listening to this podcast or anything, maybe once the game comes out, throw a key my way. I would be, interested in making a few videos on it. Yeah, complete scrub lord when it comes to this kind of thing, but, stuff. Maybe. Possibly. Come on, I can't afford games these days. I need free stuff.
Hang on, I think the game might have been called Damnation of the Gods. Let me have a look.
Yeah, sounds like a very typical 80s, 90s adventure, RPG adventure game.
Dear God, all the images I'm finding are of the resolution that's shown in the game, which is minuscule.
Which is tiny.
Okay, alright. This is what it looked like when I remember my brothers playing it.
Okay, that's quite high quality. That looks like it's an upgraded version of the
Yeah.
screenshot.
Aside from the textures being upgraded, this was what I remember color-wise what they looked like.
Yeah, this looks like a very sort of late 90s, early 2000s kind of thing. Yeah, that definitely looks like. In fact, it kind of almost reminds me of like Neverwinter Nights in a way because that's what I've been playing recently. It has that kind of, sort of texture quality, and those portraits just scream sort of early 2000s stuff. And to think back then that was the peak of graphical fidelity, and we were like, wow, these graphics are so detailed. It's just like scrubs. Wait about another 18, 19 years and you will soon see. But then again, you sort of look at the gaming industry now and go, it's kind of shit actually when you think about it.
Okay, this doesn't have any sounds, but not only did I get to see gameplay of this Damnations of the Gods, but I even got to see that exact mechanic I was just telling you about.
What, the
If
whole
you,
walking into walls thing? So you said, no, there's no sound.
yeah, but yeah, the no sound, but you get to see the characters at the top actually take damage.
Oh, yeah, walk into a wall. He's literally killing his characters by making them walk into a wall. All players are... yeah, Damnation of the Gods. That's exactly what you were. And
Yeah.
now I've gotten a video from outside Xbox being suggested to me, which is 8 weirdest side-scrolling bosses we still can't explain. And it's the boss from the Simpsons arcade game with Mr. Burns in the giant mech suit. That game.
So many. Where do you think you're going?
Where do you think you're going, Smithers? It was interesting that Smithers was actually kind of a villain in that game. In fact, to be perfectly honest, a lot of that game really didn't make an awful lot of sense. So...
It was an arcade game, though. It wasn't really
yeah.
meant to. All it was meant to do was capture the spirit and feel of all the Simpsons episodes that happening from grounded down to imaginary, like the dream sequences and here and there. Like when the Simpsons characters show up when they spawn in after they die or something, or if you just spawn them in, they come in super. They're in super mode.
Yeah. And they knock everything down and... stereotypical side-scrolling beat-em-ups from that sort of era. When you die, your character respawns and everything gets knocked down to give you a sort of a fighting chance. That makes me think of a game that I've been playing recently called Lost Castle. It's a roguelike game that's sort of in that sort of similar sort of vein, and I'm actually really enjoying it because it's kind of tongue-in-cheek with how it does things. There's you get a load of potions in that game that are all unidentified, so you have absolutely no idea what each one does. You get a sort of a sense of what each one, sort of which one falls within each category, like a red one's, you would think, oh well, that's a healing potion. Or a purple one might be something to do with something else or something or other. There's one potion that I picked. There are a couple of potions on there that I picked up. One makes you fart poisonous clouds, and the other one makes you run around shitting yourself constantly. I am not joking. I think one of the first potions I picked up and used, my character just started running around just pooing all over the floor. I don't know whether it actually had any effect on combat or not, but it did constantly make my character just stop just to leave a little turd on the floor. I am not joking, and I just thought, yeah.
I'm sure anyone who's played Ark Survival Evolved believes you.
Mm-hmm. What can your characters actually do that?
Well, yeah. All the characters, all living characters, drop a little shit nugget,
Which you can then pick up and throw at people.
and it's always a round ball. They even made a goddamn stupid plushie of it.
Oh my god. I mean, I'm just trying to think of anything else weird that. I mean, I know there's the poop emoji thing, but an actual ball of fecal matter. Why? I don't
To
get
be honest,
it.
when you get one of those pig-like dinosaurs, which are used for that, because when you give them the stim berries, they always poop. Um, they're good for emergency fertilizer.
Oh, fertilizer is pretty much poop.
Yep. But when you put them in a what is it called? A compost bin with thatch and, well, of course, the feces. After a certain amount of time, it becomes well, the most potent fertilizer that you can put in your plants.
Or for somebody to come along and steal, which I'm guessing is quite
Hmm.
frequent.
Why do you think I stopped playing Ark Survival Evolved?
Because people kept stealing your shit.
It's too hard. Again, there were only 3 to 4 times in total I ever actually found myself in combat, and every time I did, I was panicking too much to make the most basic logical choices. I was having those panic attacks, and when the whole thing was over, I couldn't even stand. This is why I stopped playing such PvP games like that. It is literally not healthy for me. I don't know why, but my body locks up, gets stressed, and I have sort of almost equivalent of a panic attack.
Yeah, fight. It's kind of like almost like a fight or flight thing, but your body, but you seem to be taking it almost to the next extreme in a way.
Plus, it doesn't help that I know that, for example, since I'm alone, I'm being attacked. If I die, everything that I've worked on for the past several hours or even weeks is gone in an instant. And every time I leave the game just to go to bed, everything I've done can be gone just because I'm not there.
Yeah,
All of your work can be undone within less than 24 hours with you not being online. It's just, it's not worth it. It's probably worth it when you got a lot of friends, but even then, what about others with even more friends? There's the whole alpha tribe thing.
yeah.
The first one that actually stood their ground and became the number one.
And then they go around and pretty much nick everything off of everybody else.
Hmm.
Yeah, that kind of almost, in a way, kind of reminds me of Rust. In fact, I would honestly have said that Ark Survival Evolved is
They're
just
almost
Rust
identical.
with
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
yeah. Again, the only clan I ended up really staying with for the longest amount of time compared to any other was this really this really confident yet laid back German group that named themselves the Dodo Death Squad, and they even had me design a banner for them once. I think I've showed you the picture.
If you did, I can't remember.
I had two ideas. I presented both, and he picked the first one, but he liked both and decided that we would use a little bit of both here and there. It was basically a Dodo's head, either with two AKs on each side with the title Dodo Death Squad, and he had a red, not a red, a green bandana because green was our color, or it was one with him literally holding one AK, and the other side of the picture is him doing the devil horns gesture.
Okay, that. How did you do that? Was that in like Source Filmmaker or something, or?
No. This was in the paint edit the war paint editor when it became a thing in Ark Survival Evolved, where you could literally paint on something.
Huh.
Like I mean, have you seen Soviet Wumble's Rust bullshittery? And when someone asked, guess which one that I think it was Cyanide or was it some other character? I can't remember. It was one of his other friends that said, guess which one is this character? Sorry, this person's sign. And you see a swastika a little bit to the left. I think I know which one it is. So yeah, it's the same basic thing. You can paint on a sign, and then War Paint came out, which allowed you to do the same thing, but onto dinosaurs.
Ooh.
Immediately, I had two ideas in mind. One, of course, was feminizing one of our dinosaurs with makeup. The other one was we had this big ape guy. This was before they did the fur shader thing, which unfortunately ruined it. At least my idea. But we named him Monkey Butler because we gave him because they can wear a hat, a helmet piece, and I had a skin where we can give him the hunter hat. So he looked like a to me he looked like an Australian bushranger guy,
But
or
everybody
just
else
someone
thought
in
he
the
looked like a
bushes.
butler.
Yeah, so we named him Monkey Butler. And then when Warpaint came out, I painted on clothing to him, and there was this one person. This oh wait, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Oh, sorry, my Discord stopped responding. It's back now. Okay, there was this one guy out there. I sent the ape to go collect some fiber because when you set him on Wonder and he walks over any foliage, he picks starts eating them, and he always gathers fiber, which yeah is before the sickle came out was a very tough thing to get because the only way to get fiber was to manually harvest with your hands,
Hmm.
which was slow. It's like you have
Slow
all of this
business.
amazing stuff and all these dinosaurs and tools, but nothing helps you get fiber faster. Eventually, they released the sickle, which was just basically a tool that once you swung it at plants, it always gathers fiber. Anyways, I had a parasaur following it, and when I left our base to go find him, I saw some other random person approaching, and I hear him speaking in German approaching, and then he stops for a second and goes, oh scheiße. He just steps back. I said, yeah, hello, human player over here. He came over laughing and said, fucking genius, fucking genius. Thought that was that was a real player. Because considering how Ark Survival Evolved is infamous for having one of those um customized things to the point you can make your character look like a fucking Popeye. Yeah, I don't blame him for assuming that that was just some huge and deformed um, player. Again, I'm gonna actually look through my old screenshots and show you because considering how the very first folder I search, I find both. My goodness, my instincts were right.
That was quick.
Well, it was when I just started using ShareX, but here's a picture of the guy that mistook it for a player. There's Monkey Butler in the background. This is the only picture I've got with him in sight. So I painted that onto him. I tried to make him look like he's wearing clothes, and it matched his hat.
I was honestly thinking if you were going to call him Monkey Butler, why didn't you give him sort of like almost like a tux or sort of like a something that looked like he was wearing a suit?
This is what pisses me off when it comes to Dino Warpaint. I don't know if they changed it, but when you add black onto them, you can barely see anything. It's like black with opacity at 10%. It's not noticeable at all.
Stupid.
The darker the color it is, the harder it is to see. Like, for example, hold on. Oh no, I don't have the example anymore. But
He doesn't
and
have
here
the
was
example.
and here is what we did. I painted up all of our dinosaurs with our colors, just some simple war paint. But I did this to one of the T-Rexes. Everyone was laughing, and we all gathered around because we knew that because they knew that this was about the time that he would come online to see how we're doing. He came online. We hear him on TeamSpeak. Just come here, just come here, and he just stands there, stares at it for a while, and he purposely slowly turns to me and says, "Please tell me it is at least female." Actually, it was more like, sorry, like, please tell me it is at least female. It was great. And here, I found it. Here is the results of my attempt at making a banner for us. These were the two I submitted.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I got to admit, I prefer the one on the left.
Yeah, it's more simple, but he did like how the other one was a little bit more exaggerated and expressive.
Yeah.
So he mostly went with the one on the left, but he did occasionally use the other one. I sent him the save file so he can just simply apply it at any time. And I just simply traced I'm not a good artist, so I just simply traced this screenshot I took of one of our dodos.
Well, I suppose that helps.
And hold on. That reminds me. Here we go. Also here was my first attempt at building a house. But there was this one time I joined a server. This is when unfortunately the Dodo Death Squad disbanded and whatnot, and I was looking for another place. I came across this one place. I was having a decent start, but the admin I noticed really despises furries to the point he bans them if he finds out. I was
Hmm.
warned about this by someone who knew me, and I decided, you know what, before I leave this server, I'm gonna leave this. and,
uh,
it gets better. He told me that when I left, he then told the admin, "Hey admin, there's something here I think you might want to destroy." He spawned over there. He st- he stared at it for a moment, said in text, "Okay, you know what? This needs to be an example." And he force spawns everyone, regardless of what the fuck they were doing. And when they started doing shit, like instinctively attacking or something,
mhm.
he would then temporarily kick them. He said, "This this is an example that I am going to make." He spawns himself a rocket launcher and blows it up.
Bit overreaction, much. It's not even that lewd. I mean, yeah, the way that it's cut off and the pose is a little seductive and suggestive, but in all fairness, that's tame.
Not the point. The point is that it's furry, and I knew that would trigger him, but I didn't think he'd actually go this far. I
Seriously,
wasn't there to witness
people.
so for all I know, he was making this up.
He could have been, but then again, either way, you left your mark, literally. As did the possibility of the hole wherever it was that he blew up with the rocket launcher, assuming he even did that. But then, after a while, Ark Survival Evolved just went downhill. Like, really badly downhill. Like,
I haven't even kept in touch with it. Is it still even relevant? What's happened?
Ark Survival Evolved. Well, all reviews are mixed, but the most recent ones are mostly positive. And I
That's
have
good to
I
know, at
have
least.
one friend who's recommending not to get it. And according to Steam, it's currently popular. I
Well,
wonder how
here's the
much longer
problem
that's
when it
going to
comes to this
last.
game. It demands your entire day. It's one of those games that you could actually have no life, dedicate to this, and barely get anywhere, or still have everything lost. You have to work so hard for so little reward on a little twig platform, nothing stable that can easily be knocked over by anyone willing to come along. And that's even if you're online to defend it.
Hmm. Well, don't you get the ability to build like brick walls at some point?
Yeah, of course. If you can even get there in time.
Hmm. That's what I don't really like about survival games like that. I just started generating an idea in my mind. I do this when I start seeing something like that, and I start thinking, how would I do that with what I'm currently interested in? All of a sudden, my mind just started feeding a load of ideas. I was just like, what if you could create sort of like a fantasy-based world where you like? I know this has probably been done before, but where you like build your own towns and then you're like the adventurers running around doing quests that like randomly spawn in based on.
Aside from the quests, that's exactly what I got from Mine Colonies, and that's why I jumped back into Minecraft for a bit. Because I literally had NPCs doing the buildings for me that I told them to do, much better than anything I could do, and just seeing this town that I've been kind of building by telling them to do this here and there just come together, and I just see the NPCs roam around, do their own things.
Or better yet, kind of do it almost like or the idea that I've got at the moment, kind of do it almost like a Don't Starve thing, where everything is like randomly generated, and you have to like fulfill a quest or something to get to the next area or something.
Oh,
But
by
then
the
again, that
way,
honestly, come to think of it, that almost kind of sounds like Portal Knights in a way, except it's not as easy to get to the next area in my idea. Because
let
in
me
Portal
mention what.
Knights, you literally just go and find a load of materials to craft a load of blocks that you can then just stick into a portal that you find somewhere, and then you can get to the next area regardless of what you've completed in that area.
Also, here's something I forgot to mention as to why the group disbanded. The art group I was with, the Dodo Death Squad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we were very suspicious with this with the alpha tribe of this server because we were sure that we were starting to expand to the point where we could be considered as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So we started taking precautions. We built secondary bases and even a well hidden one. Did everything we could. One night when we logged in, or when I logged in, everything was gone. We even checked our backup base, and even the one we tried so desperately to hide, it was all gone. They were thorough. Because, oh yeah, there are flying beasts in the game, and the game's land is not randomly generated. It's all fixed.
Hmm.
And we did try the painful thing. We did try to at least gather together, harvest things. We were back down to fists and everything. We literally lost everything. We were trying to be as fast as possible, but the light the pterodactyl like thing, I forgot what it's technically called in the game. It's the fastest one in the game in terms of flying, and they could survey the whole map within less than an hour, and they'd find us. So we start punching down trees, crafting the pickaxes so we can then get some thatch, then an axe, and we get as far as to building a few little blocks of thatch or wood, and then they'd find us, and we'd be slaughtered. We wouldn't even have
Those
a
are people
basic
who
dinosaur.
literally sound like that. I mean, I would have been all right if it was just like, yeah, they destroyed you, but then they let you build back up to a certain point again. But the fact that they're just constantly hunting you and going, no, this is our server, we're the only ones who are allowed to have fun here, that kind of stuff I hate.
And plus, there's the whole thing like it's the difference between balance and realistic. If you attack a raptor with if a T-Rex attacks a raptor, it will kill it in one shot or two. But if you have a whole pack of them, say even probably like 50 raptors attack a T-Rex, they'll all die in 4 chomps because it's a big AoE. You literally, if you have the bigger dinosaur, you're literally the king. And considering they have all of them, they're the Alpha Squad, and how long it takes to tame a single dinosaur. So, say for example, the easiest and smallest one will take about 30 to 60 minutes. While as say like a T-Rex or one of the bigger dinosaurs can take almost an entire real life day. And remember what I said about less than an hour of them surveying the whole.
Yeah.
And remember what I said about less than an hour to survey the whole island with the fastest flying mount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's at that point. There's no point. They're on the lookout for us. We have to start from scratch. It is impossible for us to build up, even as a team, when we work our butts off. They own the whole map.
That's usually at that point you're like, you need some kind of comeback mechanic. You need something to say, we can at least rebuild to a point where we can put up a fight, as opposed to, they see you, they swat you, that's it, you're dead.
And the thing I hate the most is when it comes to the building mechanics. As you saw, my first thing there and all that, my first building, I went through aesthetics and tried to make it look appealing. I hate it when games that have such things like this, the most viable and most effective builds are the most ugliest things ever.
Yeah. And I can never build something like that anyway, because most of the time all my houses just look like blocks. I just build square or rectangular buildings. That's it.
And it's like with the trailers. It's like the one with that was pretty much Ark Survival Evolved, but with a pirate theme or whatnot. the most common type of phrase of comment I see a lot in the trailers is, and this is how they think we play, and this is how they want us to play. But
But
in
we
reality,
don't.
it's exploit or just it just looks like it, and it just looks rough. You know that yeah, this is not visually pleasing at all, but you know they've placed it here because it works.
Hmm.
Uh, I know it's difficult for a game developer to balance things like this and make it so that building in a way that's both visually pleasing to the eye but also practical is very difficult.
And on top of that, gamers are always the kind of people who will sit there and try and do things optimally. This is why whenever I'm thinking through an idea, I'm always like, how is somebody going to try and screw this system so that they can do like the most optimal thing possible and only stick to the one optimal thing? In other words, a foo strategy.
And before you know it, when you leave for a few moments, you then are greeted with a bunch of this in your face.
Your senior stabby was killed by Godzilla. By Godzilla. Who the fuck summoned Godzilla?
It's basically a name of a mount that they got. I think this was the Berserker T-Rex, the one that's bigger than the T-Rex that has a rage meter. Yeah, it's pretty much one-shotting everything that I had back at my home. This was when and here's when I caught a picture of it because this these guys were promising they wouldn't do anything to me. I caught evidence that they did, but they were never on my side to begin with. They only led me to believe that they had one rogue among them, just so that they could build some confidence that if he does anything, let me know. But when I did, I found out I've been played. I was playing very passively too. I wasn't giving them shit. I was even trying to help at times. But no, I'm just a single person that's on their own and has no value to anyone.
Yeah,
So
that's
with
kind
that
of
instance, at the time I took that screenshot, my almost a month's work was gone. At the time I took that screenshot, all those dinosaurs that I had tamed, the ones that I used for tools to help me to do all this that makes this possible, they're all gone. And
yeah.
that is how easy it is to be turned off from the game, at least if you're someone like me.
Yeah,
It can be
you put
gone
all
within an
that effort in,
instant.
and then one really over-equipped guy just swoops in and steals everything. Yeah,
Yep.
I can understand why you would be turned off from that kind of thing. Speaking of which, that reminds me, we never got round to finishing off our time doing the forest, did we?
No, we didn't. I had asked you about that before, but you never felt like returning to it, so I didn't bother.
It wasn't that I didn't really think about returning to it. It's just that I was just kind of trying to find. Or maybe it was. Maybe I just wasn't really in the mood for that kind of thing. But it's just that us talking about that just made me think, we never did finish that, did we? I mean, we started building a base and everything, but we never really got much further than that. And I just remember you spending most of your time trying to run around trying to find a turtle or a tortoise.
Yeah, so we could make a rain catcher.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think we've filled out a decent amount of a podcast. I really should stop trying to look at that and going, how much of a podcast have we filled out here? I really just think it's just a case of, yeah, I feel like we've spoken enough. I think it's probably about time we wrap this up.
Yep,
So,
indeed.
yep, indeed. So, is there anything very, very quick that you would like to add? Emphasis on the quick.
Nope, not at all.
Nothing? Okay.
Only
then.
except maybe next podcast, see if there's more things that you can come up with for a change, because I seem to be the one that you lean towards when it comes to
Because
subject
half the
matter.
time I don't know what to talk about. Because I'm just sitting there thinking, well, I could talk about this, but I don't know. I can't really think of anything else to talk. Really, anything to talk about in regards to that subject. So, but yeah, I will definitely look into that next time. So, thank you everybody for listening, watching, or however you've chosen to consume this media And as always,
Heavy weapons guy says.
Okay, enough.
you beat me to the punch again.